But that's the nature of being a leader. You'll be doing all this going
Yes,
forward, and
all
you're
the
going to be so
time.
natural. It'll be
Yes.
incredible.
Yes.
And people could be watching anywhere now in California, and name it, yeah.
So you're trying to say the president always get nervous before delivering his speech?
Especially, I think so. I think everyone does. But he's confident. He's done it for a long time.
That he showed it.
Yeah. No, it's going to be amazing. Once you start speaking, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you'll
It
be
is
fine once you
fantastic
start
that way.
speaking. You're going to have to get rid of the gum though. Do you want to go do that quickly? Oh. Okay, cool. Anyone else with gum?
No.
No.
Cool.
Oh, that's actually, you know what? For some reason, I can't chew gum. It gets stuck in one of my teeth. and it's like, and also I can't eat popcorn.
It also does
Because it
that.
gets stuck. And then
It's
I
not
spend the
good, eh?
next 2 hours terrible trying to get it out of my tooth. So that's been one thing I've never been able to do is gum.
Sure.
Probably much to my mother's satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So which grade are you in?
Doing grade 11.
11 at the moment.
As always,
okay. And yourself, also grade 11?
Can that lady see?
Grade 9
past
now,
you?
okay,
Should be
cool.
all right.
What
Grade
grade?
12.
Grade 12,
They're
okay.
all grade 12.
Oh, and they're all grade 12. Oh, that's tough.
Good.
So it's kind of arrangement. Grade 12, 11.
Okay.
The next grade to the this one.
Sure. In descending order. Cool.
Sorry, but it's time to start.
Terrific.
6 o'clock.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the MEDO Centre in Cape Town once again for the third Thursday with Garreth Bloor. So, Councillor Bloor, thank you very much for joining us once again.
Thanks.
And on this terrific day and in Youth Month.
Excellent.
So, I'm not sure if you'd like to say a few words of welcome.
Oh, I'm always keen to speak. So thanks for coming, everyone, and thanks to the staff panel that we're a part of. I was fortunate to be one of those people here on Youth Day and to witness the incredible attention, I know from national media and all over, on the incredible individuals in science really putting together some of their skills and talents. So thank you very much for joining us and for coming on to the incredible.
Good. Garreth, yes, thank you very much. And what we've done is we have some of the young ladies who've joined us this evening who were in the workshop. And I think what we should do is perhaps we should actually start with Ovayo, because the thing is what she did is she won the race. So let me give a little bit of context. What we did is we really wanted to get the young women to engage with electronics, because that's what the future is, really. A lot of technology and a lot of engineering going into the future is going to be around electronics. So what we all did on Tuesday is we built ourselves a little Jiggybot, which is a miniature. And Ovayo, you won, your Jiggybot won. Do you want to let us know a little bit about how that felt?
Yeah.
I think speak into the microphone, yes.
Yeah, I was actually shocked because I didn't expect my Jiggybot to win because it was so small compared to the others. So,
Okay.
Yes, I think the thing that made it won is because it was small and it was so fast because its legs were very rigid.
Yes, absolutely. And did you do any test runs with your Jiggybot before the race?
No, we didn't.
Okay,
Wow.
It was actually, I had a partner when I was doing it. I didn't do that all.
excellent, fantastic. And is your partner with you today?
No, he's not.
Okay, okay, excellent, great. Garreth, can you fill us in with what are really the plans for the city in terms of science, technology, engineering and maths that these young women can look forward to?
Well, there's certainly huge demand in the city from outside investors, but also entrepreneurs locally for technical skills and talents, the kind that we saw on Youth Day and which we see represented by each of you on this panel. And the hope that we have for the economy in terms of selling Cape Town and selling South Africa is not just about the ease of doing business, that's important, but people want to know, do you have the skills in your country that we can say, make this the best place in the world to be? And I think, as we saw on the news, for those who weren't here in person, that answer is a resounding yes. And what the city is seeking to do is create that enabling environment to ensure that individuals who do graduate from programs like these have network and access and support in going ahead, either working within new businesses through our job placement program, or actually starting your own one-stop shop to ensure that when you graduate, you're not in a vacuum, either from a program or from high school, but there is this sort of support with private sector people and other spheres of government. You know, the city might not have any mandate or role over education. In law, that's not for us, but we can certainly play a role in developing an environment outside of the school that builds on economic development opportunities. And the city is implementing incentive schemes right now as the first in South Africa as a municipality, in Atlantis, for example. And green technology and technology in general has seen massive opportunity where companies have come in from different parts of the world and established themselves. And I think the confidence that they have when they speak publicly about why they've done so is belief in the human potential and capacity that you see here in Cape Town, and the drive and the entrepreneurialism of people, even starting in high school, as we can see. And I think that means that we have got a very solid future in this field if we keep going the way we are and see the talent coming up the way we've seen it so far.
Yes, fabulous. And to give our audience a little bit of background, what we did is, just over a year ago, as MEDO, we bought a small satellite and a launch. And what we did is we bought it because this is a really growing field, the field of utilizing small satellites to gather data on weather patterns, water patterns, food security. That's a market that's really, really booming internationally. So what we did is, because we're in economic development, we thought we need to be in on this new space race in this small format, so we bought the satellite and the launch. And we went to a conference 2 months ago in California, and we realized that there are many, many applications that we could use the satellite for. But what we really should be doing is we should be asking the young people who own the future of our country, what do they want to measure? What do they want to find out and learn and use the satellite to do that? So that is why we've started this program, is because what we're going to be doing is by December, we will have engaged with enough young women who are really, really interested in building the payload that will be built into the satellite so that we can actually launch it next year. What we have into the satellite, it's a small format satellite, it's 1 liter in capacity. And then it has to go through a number of stringent tests before it can be put on the rocket to be launched next year. So we want to be able to finish that during December. Now, Nabisa, I know that you are terribly nervous, but it's okay. All right? Most of these people here you know. So can you let me know, how did you find out about the workshop so that you were here on Tuesday?
Oh, it was fantastic. I was shocked, and everything was wow. And the launch everything was organized, and the service was good.
Okay, and how did you learn about it? How did you find out about the workshop?
I found out about science is a future. We depend on scientists. And the future of science is so easy and creative, you know.
Okay, fabulous.
Yes.
Excellent. And Achule, how did you find out about Tuesday?
Tuesday, it was about having fun and learning at the same time. We learned how to make a jiggy box, with which we never knew we'd do it, and I was enjoying to appear in TV.
Okay, of course you did, yes. You were on the news that evening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, when you arrived at the beginning of the day, did you ever think it would be possible that you could solder together your own little mini robot Jiggybot?
No.
And when you started doing the soldering, do you think that you would be able to do it?
Yes, because it was easy as it was explained.
Okay.
Yeah.
And putting it all together.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Great. Gareth, Do you have any questions, or am I going to ask you another question?
I'm always happy to ask the questions instead. But one thing that struck me was there was such a positive energy in the room. You really
Okay.
felt like you were in the most creative place in the world. And I suppose the question for anyone is did you change your idea of your career path
Okay,
after
there
that
you go.
workshop? Because I certainly heard some people
Maybe
talking about
ask Nikiwe.
Nikiwe,
next
maybe
to
if
you,
you want to
yes.
speak to that.
Oh, yes, I did have some kind of doubting my career that I told myself that I want to choose. Because it was so nice experiencing doing one so little thing, but making it can move. It was such a good experience. So I consider maybe changing because my career, I thought I wanted to be a nurse. So maybe I can consider some career in engineering. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fabulous. Excellent.
And I think the exposure is such an important part. And I remember speaking about Nadia Musaji, who was just speaking at Harvard. We're from Cape Town, local, and got into engineering through exposure and an opportunity to be a part of it, and chose that career path, and now is inspiring women across the continent, having gone into Kenya, into Nigeria, and expanding, and really recognized as one of the 25 Harambee entrepreneurs at Harvard earlier this year. So South Africans, I think the volume of people who see something, take the opportunity and run with it, really is recognized internationally. And it really starts with that exposure and that opportunity. And I think that's perhaps something to look into, how we ensure direct access to these opportunities through the sort of platforms that people like you and MEDO have created. Yeah.
Gareth, thank you very much. Maybe if you want to pass
Should we pass
the
this way?
microphone
Sure thing.
over to
Right.
Nina on the end.
Great.
And what are you thinking about? I know it's very difficult to decide, and when you're 16, what you're going to retire from at 60. But I mean, have you got any ideas of what the future holds for you? And what are you thinking about at the moment?
Well, not really, but it's something to do with sciences. Like I was thinking either engineering or doctor or food technology, something that will help me like with my science, because science is something that I enjoy doing, and
Yes.
Tuesday's workshop was really good for me, and I actually enjoyed it.
Definitely, and yes, certainly in the area of food technology. Nowadays, agriculture is not about digging, washing, and selling. You know, it's very much about understanding the technology, how the climate's affecting it. I mean, I know some of you are actually writing exams on climatology at the moment, you know, and geography and all of that kind of thing. So, very much a scientific field. And when is the right time to water the crops? You know, exactly which hour of the day, all of that sort of thing. So that would be very, very fascinating, certainly. And Likona, can we give you the microphone, please? How did you feel after the workshop on Tuesday?
Wow, I don't know, I'm speechless. Like, it was a wonderful opportunity for me, so I felt very good. It was marvelous that day, because I learned so many things I didn't know how to solve that before. But after that day, I knew how to solve the things.
And also you learned a little bit just through the practical workshop of how to connect the batteries, how to connect the capacitor, the switch, the engine, all of those various components. Because, I mean, they look very boring on the drawing, don't they?
Yes.
So, I know, because when Keith was drawing the circuit diagram, I thought, oh no, everybody's going to fall asleep, you know. But then very quickly you were putting them together. And yes, I have to say, you finished your chicky pot really quickly. And I was surprised. I was like, what are we going to do with her now? You know, she's already done with that. So thank you very much for joining us for that. What I'd like to do is I'd like to open up to the floor for questions for us and for the young women about the workshop, if I may. So, Carla, can I ask you to, Stembile, thank you very much, if you're going to be handing around the microphone for questions. If you wouldn't mind just waiting to get the microphone that Stembile has. Who has a question? There we go. There's our first question. And if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself with your name And if you could stand up so that we can all see you, that would be lovely. Thank you so much.
My name is I work for a website called Venture. I would like to ask about funding and also support that's happening for startups in Cape Town. Because if you look at the startups and you look at the kind of startups that get started, they're mostly not black people. So I'd like to know projects like this, do they look into how young people are helped to start companies?
Okay, can I respond first and then
Sure.
then you respond? That was a terrific question. Thank you very much. And this program itself, per se, is not necessarily to generate startups. What we're looking at here is we've got a much longer term view. What we're looking at is who are going to be the people who are creating the startups in 5, 7, 10 years' time in the very technological fields that are going to be applicable then. So what we're looking at here is probably the future technology leaders of the small industry sector going into the future. This project, as it is, this satellite program is being funded by Isuzu Trucks in South Africa. They have a challenge. Being a Japanese company, they've got a much longer term view. And they know that 10, 20 years from now, they're going to have a challenge with having great engineers who can actually run their factories. Because the thing is, trucks are no longer built using a spanner. They've been built by robots. So what we need is we need technology savvy people to be able to program those robots. So that's what they're looking for going into the future. And I think that what I'd like to do is, can I ask, Gareth, can I ask you to respond in terms of what funding is available in the city for startups, and then we can go to the next question.
Well, there's a lot of funding in the city. There's no funding from the city directly. Municipalities in South Africa are not allowed to fund businesses, but there are national funds that exist where the mandate and the competency is for this sort of fund. So there's been some talk about establishing different types of funds, a venture capital fund. The shadow minister is here for small business who could speak to that specifically. But here in the city, we've then established partnerships with 70 organizations who are in the field of business development and funding. So instead of someone coming to the city and asking that critical question, our response shouldn't be, well, we don't have the legal right to do it, so you've got to go find it somewhere else. It's to say, well, let's connect you to those agencies and organizations that do provide it. And so that's why we've set up the Small Business Support Desk. We've got the number now that's launched. We've got members of the team who will meet with you or correspond with you on the phone or deal with you online to help assess what stage you're at in terms of your business and where that best form of support might come. Because, of course, with funding, there's a development component too. There's the business side. And so you've got to get your firm or your company funding ready very often to get investors to take that seriously. But the city does have programs like the Bandwidth Barn that just opened out in Khayelitsha. There's one that's been in Woodstock already with a lot of success stories where you can provide that space to incubate businesses and develop businesses. But we do have a workshop too on offer to anyone in the city, which is where we bring all the key funders in the ecosystem and entities so that there can be a direct interaction. The program then goes into a breakaway. So if you're looking for funding, there are breakaway sessions. If it's business development or it's later stage funding, you can break away and do that. So there is that program that's available on request and also part of a standard agenda. But we will provide some of these which are also online with all the information on those funding sources. So I think the money is there, but the ability to access is often the key question. And that's how we're looking to bridge that divide.
Definitely. Gareth, thank you very much. We have another question here at the front. There we go.
I'm Isaac Clark, Nina Rose Clark's father.
Fabulous.
I would like to know, how do you intend moving forward from this point of departure that we have started with this?
Great.
There are few learners who are interested in this. Is there any intention to marry this a kind of activity with technology in schools? or is it a separate entity that is just going to take place here? Yeah, let me just stop there.
Okay. Let me answer that question. It's a very good question, because this is not just a flash in the pan and a once-off that we're doing this. We have actually got a plan where 5 years into the future, we've secured satellite launches each year, starting next year and ending in 2020. So the way we're doing it is we're starting off with the one-day workshops like we had the other day, which is the space prep workshop. The workshops will then continue. So, for example, for the young women here who are really keen to continue, we're going to be having a one-week boot camp where we're going to be going away during the 1-week school holiday in October. And there we're going to be able to do some more advanced electronics and actually build it into mock-up frames of the satellite that we can then send up with high-altitude weather balloons and actually test, is it going to work or not at higher altitudes with these very low temperatures, a bit of radiation, that kind of thing. And then going towards December, what we'll do is that those people who really, really want to stay on the program will then be able to come together, work out of these offices here that we have at the foreshore, the MEDO Centre at foreshore, and actually build that final payload to go. So what it is if you're interested, keep with it. It doesn't cost the learners anything at all. It doesn't cost parents or schools anything at all. We've got private sector funding. So really what it is that it's not that we're trying to substitute in any way for the education system. We're trying to create a practical example of how can you use your maths and science education, just in a different way. You know, because the thing is that what we want to do is we all want to tackle this problem, the challenge of having too few scientists. We want to tackle that together. So what we're doing is we're saying, how can we do it? How can we also help and chip in? I have to say that I've been very lucky. I'm a chemical engineer, and I have had a really, really great career, and never at any stage did I feel that I had a lower salary because I was a woman. Whereas a lot of people that I matriculated with who went into non-science degrees felt that they weren't being paid as much as their male counterparts. And the stats actually show that there is zero wage gap in technical careers as opposed to non-technical careers. So I hope that answers your question. You're welcome to stay around, okay, but not on a school day, only on holidays. Great, thank you.
Hi, Gordon Janet. I've got a question for the students to think about. So Cape Town has public transport, and many, many thousands of people use the trains to get into and out of the city every day. But there are persistent problems with signalling as a result of cable theft. So as you are young students, think about what you have possibly in your pocket, possibly things that you use at home, that you could invoke to improve the signalling system, to prevent trains from crashing into each other or going around corners too fast, or being on the wrong track at the wrong time. What would you do to replace the copper wires that are so vulnerable but necessary in the signalling system? What would you use?
Any ideas quickly here?
I'm so glad I don't have to answer that one. Jeez.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
I don't know if it's correct, but there's a thing they call optical fibers in science. Some they use it in periscopes and the marine life, so that the submarine under the water can see through what is on top of the sea level. And also they use it in medical examination. They put it inside to see the internal part of the body. I don't know, because it says, there's something that says about it that it has so much little copper that theft can't steal. So I don't know if that could work, but that's what I was thinking. If you can replace the cables with the optical fibers, so
and
that
if you link it with something else,
I don't know then.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. So that there will be signal, so that the train won't mesh to each other. That's what I think.
Marvelous
Okay.
question, Gordon.
The
Thank
control
you.
centre keeping control of where the trains
Yes,
are. at
where the
any
train
time.
is, so that they don't mesh on the same road, because there's that part of the showing the train, there's where other train has to pass and then wait for the others, so that also there won't be delays, because some train have to stop just somewhere because to let the other train pass. But if there's that optical fibers linking to the signal, it can allow the trains to be seen when the train is during what time.
And did you know that your mother and father know exactly where you are when they? So they could use a GPRS signal or a SIM card.
Yes, I
in
know.
the same thing.
Excellent. Well done. Terrific. Do we have another question? There we go. Chris, if you just wouldn't mind waiting for the microphone.
My name is Chris Blair. I'm the chairman of MEDO. MEDO's motto is building the economy one job at a time. My question to the girls would be, why do girls not go into technology?
There you go. Oh, you got an answer. Yes, you do. Oh, you've always got an answer. Come on. Why do you think girls don't go? Sometimes don't choose.
I think it's because girls don't think that boys are much better than them at science. That's why they don't choose maths and science.
Okay,
And
but what?
sometimes it is true.
Yes, but what was your experience the other day with the soldering? You know, Keith was saying that he was really surprised because he saw much better soldering in the room than he's ever seen young men doing. So we have another response down that end. So there you go.
I think it's because we take notice of finer details, and you often, if you feel that something is not good, that you want to do it over, so therefore our soldering is neater. But it's also because it has the subject of engineering has a label. It's seen as something that guys do, and you're often told that that's a boy thing, don't do that. Therefore, it's harder for girls to come into a subject.
Okay, so too often the barriers in our own minds. So that's the challenge. Is that there's nobody else holding us back. We're holding ourselves back. And what I want to do is that right at this point, I want to take the opportunity to make an announcement. I don't think Garreth knows, but what I did is I got a sneak preview from the institute, which is the BYM, which is a global institution that's been running for 15 years, which is for the brightest young minds. And a number of years ago, Garreth was selected as an annual best young mind.
The standards were low back then.
No. Well, the thing is, the standards were high then, and they're still high now, because I found out that tomorrow you're going to be announced as one of the 50 in the history of the BYM as the brightest young minds on our planet. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I know there's a lot of competition coming up, so, and they certainly didn't have anyone that's on this panel that was present there. But thanks very mumuch for that, Judy. Our BYM is a group started out in Stellenbosch and has now, of course, gone all over the place, which is out of our own city or city region. I just the responses and to some of the questions, it struck me, considering Forbes magazine, and they're very big on Africa. It's one magazine you read that always talks about the future growth, but they bring out their list of top 30 entrepreneurs on the continent. And I consider those who came out of Cape Town, and of the 5 I certainly am aware of, at least 2, I'm almost certain 3, came through programs like this one, where of course the role of the city or government is to come provide some support, but to really enable the private sector and the sponsors and the entrepreneurs and scientists and engineers themselves to come to the fore and to make amazing things happen, whether in business or in technology. And I want to thank the sponsors in particular of your program, because I know there was a stage where the city provided some funding, to help. But you've reached full sustainability.
Yes.
We don't provide any support as a government. We redirect those funds to where it is needed, and yet you're doing amazing things. And congrats to the chairperson as well. I think that speaks to the kind of ecosystem and the sustainable environment we're trying to create. Because of course government has a limited amount of funds. We have pressing social and economic challenges, and to leverage the private sector and companies like Isuzu is really amazing. And to see these things continue without our support is really, really great. So thanks very much for doing that. And I just had a correction. We're on to partnerships now with 90 organizations in Cape Town, including financiers who we can make referrals to if you do approach the small business unit for assistance at any stage with your company. So really that creating that environment, because I know coming from government is a reason you don't see great technologies or innovations or winning things coming out, because the nature of government is very different. It's to create the right environment so people and South Africans, like certainly each of you, can succeed and be the best you can be. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone outside of government for that amazing role and that work and that support that you've helped create, and to the people themselves who make it happen and to achieve. Yeah.
Yes. Good. Gareth, thank you very much. And what we'll do is we'll post a link to that list that you have on our website as well, so that everybody can go there and see that list of where they can get assistance.
Fantastic.
I think at this stage what I'd like to do is close. And thank you very much for coming through and joining us this evening. And what we're going to be able to do is have a very informal networking session, which is going to be open for, questions can be asked, etc. And Gareth, thank you once again. You still qualify as being young enough as youth. I hope the city gets some extra points because of your age. I'm sure they do. Anyway, so what I would like to ask is, would you like to just close off this evening's session with just some final words?
Yes. Well, I think really these are words that aren't just mine, but from the executive mayor herself. And that is to first of all say thank you to each one of you who are young people that are examples in your community, who take something like Youth Day, who step forward and who create great technologies and who show through the media coverage and through your own example just what is possible. It really is powerful and is what's going to drive significant change. And to your families, especially the parents and the headmasters at the schools, it really is, without your work and your collaboration and your long hours, it would be impossible for us as a society to achieve what we know we can achieve and what in so many ways we are ready. And finally, an invitation, which I didn't get an invite, but from the executive mayor to each one of you who are here to join her at some point quite soon. She's really looking forward to meeting you. That's what I think was E-News where
Yes.
she may have seen the coverage. But on behalf of the entire city of Cape Town and your local government, just a message of thanks from us and best of luck, and we're behind you all the way. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Gareth, thank you very much. I think what we should do is go next door. Stembile and Carlo, you're going to lead the way. Terrific, thank you. And we're going to hold the mayor to that invitation.
Perfect.
That'll be nice, won't it?